Okay, so the project at hand right now is with my Volkswagen TDI. So today we're just going to kind of do some service to it. So this originally just started out, it was just going to be an oil change, and then it turned into, you know, fuel filter and a couple other odds and ends. And then I ended up with $270 some worth of stuff. So here it is. And that's where I ordered it from. Not affiliated with them or anything. But as long as I've had the car, that's where I've got all my parts. Never had an issue. So let's get into it. So while that's draining, I'm gonna go ahead and change this valve cover gasket up here. Let's get this out of the way. So I've actually had this valve cover off here a few times. It's actually really simple to take off. Pull that guy, pull you a couple plugs, hang on. I'm gonna take off this anti-shutter valve, if I got the right size. I guess that's what that is anyways. I always hate anything that uses Allen heads, because they always strip out for no reason. That guy's loose. If those strip out, find a Torx bit that's the next size bigger and take a hammer and hammer it into them. And then if that strips out, then yeah, you're in for a fun time. All right, set this somewhere. And that's fuel rail, it should just slide out. Got this vacuum line hooked to it. Timing belt inspection cover. Swivel to get to these back bolts. There it is. Okay. Now this car, these years specifically, they had a problem with this camshaft wearing out. I mean, I haven't had an issue with it. I don't know if it's been changed. I've never changed it, but it just works fine. And the injectors on this thing are fired by the camshaft, and it's a pretty unique system, but it works, so can't complain there. Well, that went in a lot easier than it came out. Actually, put this guy. Yeah, I've had people tell me that these cars are hard to work on or hard to get parts for, or stuff like that, and none of that's true. They're really easy to get parts for, and they're super easy to work on for the most part. There's a few things on here that's kind of weird, but most of the stuff is super simple. Let's go ahead and get this oil filter changed, which is just in this housing right here. They make a special tool for this, but I just never felt like buying one, so I just use this pipe wrench. Just be kind of gentle with it because it is plastic. But usually it's not that tight. You just need the leverage to get it to twist. So your new filter comes with 2 O-rings to replace on this guy. Right here. Basically one is at the top here and then one's down here. So you can just pop these guys off. what I do is take it and get a little bit of oil on it. Actually, not as much oil in there as there normally is. Just a little bit of oil on it and pop that guy on there. Like so. Do the same with the big one. And it just sits down in that groove right there and you're set. Then your new filter, it will be labeled and it says top, just so you get it right. But basically slide that guy in there and just drop it down in there. See if we can get this oil pan off of here. I'll take that off too. Okay, so here's the situation. See, I've had this off before and I never had an issue, but there's 2 bolts. Well, there's actually 4. There's 1 in each of these holes here, but these 2, I don't even know if you guys can see. The way they're in there, I don't even think you can. But it's not straight up in there. They're at an angle. This one's really bad where you need like a really tight swivel socket or something to get in there. So I've been messing with that for a little bit, and then I got to realizing this oil pan is cracked right here. See it leaking oil? So it's cracked right there, and it's got all kinds of scrapes. So what I did was I just went and ordered a new oil pan, and since I can't get them bolts out, we're gonna take this thing off the fun way. The fun way meaning I'm just gonna break this off with a hammer. There we go. Oh no. Well, I honestly thought that I would just break the oil pan to get it out. But I didn't break the oil pan. What let loose. I just put this in here last year. Is my new rear main seal. So we get to take the transmission out again for the 3rd time. Oh boy, I'll tell you what, it's just something. But I guess it happens. I mean, the way them bolts are in there, really the only way I could have got to it would have been to take the transmission out. So, I guess that's what we'll have to do. Since this job's kind of turned into a nightmare job, we will go ahead and at least replace what we can. So this fuel filter, actually, it's real easy to replace here. This return line just pulls out. These guys just slide off here. Then you just need a big Phillips screwdriver or bit. And just pull this guy out. And the new filter, it's got new O-rings that go on the bottom of this guy here. The best way I've found to get these guys off is just cut them off with a knife. Sometimes you can roll them off, but usually it's easier to just cut them. Like that. And just remember to put the first one on first, because you need the first one on so the second one will roll over it. Like, I'll show you here. Like the blue one was towards the back. I don't know if that matters, but that's how it was. So I'll take the black one and then put it on first. And take the blue one and put it on, and it will just roll right across there. Like that. What I'm gonna do is just splash a little bit of diesel fuel on. And just plop the new one down in here. Let's see, it needs to sit right about there. Clip back on. Slide that guy on there. And then what I like to do before I put that other one on is I'll cycle the key a few times and let the lift pump get the majority of the air out. And that usually takes care of the majority of it. The rest of it should work out. But if you don't do that, it'll airlock the system, and then it's kind of a pain to bleed it. Really, you just gotta crank on it a whole lot. Other than that, that's it. Let's see what kind of fuel was in this filter. I always buy my fuel from the same station. Well, the same two, so I like to check it, make sure the fuel's still pretty decent. You can see that's good fuel there. If it had water in it, you'd be able to see the difference here at the bottom. Here's what it would look like if you had water in your fuel. Put that in there and then give it a minute for the bubbles to go away, and then you can clearly see the difference that this is water and that's fuel. But that's what it looked like. But luckily the station I always get my fuel from is really good, so let's change this cabin air filter. So you're actually supposed to do this every like 20,000 miles, which 90% of people don't. I just do because it comes in the service kit. Then it just kind of clips in there. That guy pulls out. And here's the old one. It's not in too bad shape. You can see a lot of pollen and dirt and stuff in there. But I mean, that is the air you're breathing in, so I guess you kind of want it to be clean. I don't know. Then for airflow, you want it pointed down because it sucks the air in down to the core, if that makes sense. If I can get this guy lined up here. Just put our cover back on. These are just a 25 Torx. Of course that would break. And it's garbage plastic. I don't know how automotive manufacturers get away with it. I'm not so sure how well you guys can see. That's probably about the best angle I can get. Go tube. Straight in. Oh man. I was going to replace this chain and tensioner too, just as preventative maintenance. But in order to do that, it looks like I'm going to open a whole nother can of worms. It's going to take up a lot of my time, and I don't feel like doing that. So I'm just going to put a new oil pump on it, call it good. Got that plastic piece. Daggone it. Check this out. This is my front CV axle. See that shining part in this vacuum line laying here? So that has fallen down from somewhere, and we'll have to zip tie that guy back up. So that's a problem. Yeah, anytime you're under your vehicle, always like check and make sure you don't see nothing out of the ordinary like this. And you can tell it's been doing it for a while. I'm surprised there's not a hole rubbed in it somewhere. I'm really surprised. Oh well, I'll zip tie that back up out of the way. Okay, back again today. So, got the new oil pan and rear main seal. So to change rear main seal, you got to pull the transmission out. And to get it out, basically pull out the battery, that air box. Should be like a little plastic tray under there. Take it out, then unhook shift linkage, the speedometer cable, and the clutch line. And then take out the bell housing bolts and the transmission mount. They should slide right out. So I'll set you guys up on a time lapse here, and we'll go ahead and get this guy out. Okay, transmission should be pretty much ready to come out. We got all the bell housing bolts are out, shift linkage is unhooked, speedometer sensor, reverse lights. Yeah, pretty much everything's free off here. Just the that mount got a jack under the engine, so hopefully I can just kind of let it all down and slide it off. That's what I did last time. So I'll tell you what though, this car, this was the first year I'd ever drove it in the winter and had it in all the salt, and man, it, like all these bolts, like it's just surface rust, but like these bolts were not rusted this time last year when I had this out. So it's pretty crazy what one winter will do, because I bought this car from down south, so it didn't have any rust. It's just, I think it's pretty crazy. So anyways, let's get this transmission out. That's out here. There's one. And then there's two. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can't take this pressure plate, clutch, and flywheel off here. I'm a little bit concerned because I red Loctited the crap out of these, but let's see if it'll come loose. Okay, that's not the right side. Oh. I guess we'll see if these guys come loose. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's get this rear main seal out of here, which is should just be 2 bolts on the bottom, which is what I broke, and then all these bolts around here, they're 10mm. Here's the new main seal. It comes with this plastic piece in here. And I remember the first time I did this, I pulled this out, put oil on the seal and put it on, and yeah, you definitely don't want to do that because it leaks. I found out they even send you a little guide here that shows you. Just want to clean it real good and then slide this guy on. So, let's see if we can get this guy on here. Go. Okay. For torque spec, you want them tight, but don't strip them. People get so mad because I don't put a torque wrench on stuff. It's actually pretty funny. Okay, last night it got dark, you couldn't see. I've got the oil pan back on and got the flywheel back on, so. Always use red Loctite on any of these bolts to do with your clutch or flywheel. Red Loctite, nothing but red. So let's see if I can line up this pressure plate here. I don't think that's the right group. If you don't have a clutch lineup tool, you can just use a deep well socket. That works pretty good. Okay, so here's where we're at. Transmission's back in, CV axles are hooked up, all the mounts are good. I was just piddling, fixing a few things while the camera was charging here. And my reverse lights weren't working, so in order to fix that, all I did was just, basically I tested the switch, made sure the switch was good, and then I wasn't getting power to the switch, but then I could run power and the lights would come on. So I just took the opposite wire the lights come on and spliced into it, hooked it up to the battery. So that's an easy, quick fix. So yeah, now we can go ahead and get the battery box tray put in, air cleaner and all that good stuff, and fire it up. Okay, now it's time to add some oil. I run liquid moly 1040 in it. Basically, you just want an oil that's got the Volkswagen like 505 spec or something. It don't matter what brand. I've had good luck with this. Now for the moment of truth. Let's see if she'll start after having all this stuff apart. So let's go ahead and turn the key on. Roll my window down here. Let's see what she does. Nothing. Let's replace the starter. So let's try this again here. That solved a problem. Last thing I need to fix on this car here is that officer stopped and told me the other night that this tag light here is out. So let's see if we can get this guy fixed. Looks like just 2 Phillips screws. Well, that takes one of those long style light bulbs. I don't know if I got one of them or not. Go see what I can find. Scavenging around, I found a couple of these LED ones I had in a drawer for whatever reason. So let's see if they work. Yep. Okay. Now I'll probably go ahead and change the other one too, because then they won't look right. I guess that's it. It's probably pretty warm. You have it. Now we got 2 working tag lights. Well, that should pretty much wrap up this video. If you're in the market for a cheap car, these Volkswagens are definitely the way to go with the TDI in them. They are, people ask me all the time, like mileage wise, what I get, and I consistently get between 48 and 52 miles to the gallon is what it consistently gets. And as far as what's done to it, I mean, it does have a stage 2 tune on it, and yeah, that's it. That's all that's ever been done to it. And this car was factory and automatic. I did the 5-speed swap. That was back before I was doing this whole YouTube thing, so that would have been pretty interesting. But other than that, if you get one, definitely get the manual. And I mean, they're great cars. So other than that, guys, you guys have a good day.